This is the INTEX Ultra XTR Deluxe Rectangular Above-Ground Swimming Pool Set, the one that comes with the 2800 GPH sand filter pump. After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I've noticed so far. So yeah, it's big. The listed size is 32 feet long and 16 feet wide, and it's 52 inches tall. In real life, that translates to a pool that actually feels like you can swim in, not just float around in a circle. I can do short laps without immediately hitting a wall, and if you've got kids or a few adults in there at once, it doesn't instantly feel crowded. The capacity is around 14,364 gallons when it's filled to the recommended level, and you feel that in both a good way and a "this is a lot of water to manage" way. Setup was not hard in a complicated way, but it was a lot physically. The frame pieces clicked together with that easy lock setup, and that part was honestly straightforward once everything was laid out. I didn't need tools for the frame, and I didn't have to fight with little pins like some older metal frame pools I've dealt with. The part that took the most time wasn't the frame, it was getting the ground right. I stressed about that before buying, and I'm glad I did, because once you see how much water this thing holds, you understand why people keep saying the ground has to be level. Not close enough level, actually level. I spent more time than I expected on prep, and that's the unglamorous part nobody wants to talk about, but it matters. They say it can be ready for water in about 90 minutes, and I can see that being true if your ground is already prepped and you have a few people helping. I had help, and we still took our time, because the liner is heavy and awkward to move around without scraping it. Once it's in place, getting wrinkles out at the bottom is something you want to handle early, like when there's barely any water in it. After it fills up more, it's basically stuck where it is. Filling it was its own project. With a normal garden hose, it took a long time. I didn't time it down to the hour, but it was the kind of thing where you start it, check it, go to bed, check it again, and you're still not swimming yet. And once it's full, you're also committing to the cost of water and the cost of getting the chemicals right at the start. I use standard pool testing stuff, and I stay on top of it, because with this much water, problems don't stay small for long. The liner feels thick. It's that 3-ply PVC with the mesh in the middle, and compared to the cheaper inflatable ring-style pools or the thinner framed ones, this feels more like something that's meant to stay up for a while. I've bumped it with pool brushes and the vacuum head, and I'm not babying it, and so far it hasn't felt fragile. It includes a patch, which I'm glad is there, because anything outdoors eventually meets a sharp toy or a random stick. The frame is also more solid than I expected. It's galvanized steel with a powder coating, and I was nervous about rust because I've had metal stuff pit and discolor after a couple seasons outside. I can't pretend I know how it'll look in 5 years, but right now, it's holding up fine. The joints also seem snug. When people are getting in and out, the pool doesn't feel like it's wobbling around. The sand filter system is a big reason I went with this set. I've used cartridge filter setups on smaller above-ground pools before, and I got tired of constantly rinsing cartridges and still not feeling like the water was staying as clear as it should. With the sand filter, the water has been consistently clear as long as I run it enough and keep my chemistry in range. The pump is rated at 2,800 gallons per hour, and in day-to-day use, it feels like it has enough flow to keep things moving, especially for a rectangular pool where corners can get a little stagnant on weaker systems. I run it for a good chunk of the day, especially when it's hot and people are swimming a lot. The return jet also pushes a decent stream, and that helps keep the surface from looking dull. Maintenance is pretty normal pool stuff, just scaled up. Skimming takes longer because the surface area is big. You also notice debris more because there's just more space for it to land. I'll be honest, the included cover is useful, but it's kind of annoying to deal with at this size if you're alone. It's not like tossing a cover on a little round pool. When it's windy, it turns into a two-person job if you don't want it folding into itself or dipping into the water. One thing I didn't love is that the ladder that comes with these big framed pools is usually the weakest feeling piece of the whole setup. And this one is no exception for me. It works, and it's fine for kids, but for adults, I can feel it shift a bit. I'm not saying it's unsafe if you're careful, but it doesn't feel as steady as the pool itself. If you're heavier, or you just want something more solid, that's something you might end up replacing or reinforcing with a small deck setup later. In daily use, the size is the whole point. If you've only ever had a 12-foot or 15-foot round pool, this feels completely different. You can have people playing on one end and someone actually swimming on the other end without constantly getting in each other's way. The water depth is also nice. You're not standing in a puddle. It feels like a real pool once you're in it. If you're comparing it to smaller framed INTEX pools or other brands' rectangular frame pools, my experience is that this one feels sturdier and the sand filter is less work, week to week, than cartridges. It's still work, just a different kind. Backwashing the sand filter is simple, but you do have to stay consistent. And because it's such a big pool, You can't ignore testing and balancing and expect it to magically stay nice. Who is this actually good for? I'd say it's for someone who really wants a big backyard pool feel but isn't trying to do construction or permanent installation. It's also for someone who's willing to treat ground prep like part of the project, not an optional step. If you want something you can throw up casually in an afternoon with one person, this is probably going to frustrate you. If you've got a few helpers, a decent flat space, and you're okay with regular upkeep, it's been a good experience. Overall, I'm happy with it. I don't think it's for everyone, and I think people should go into it knowing the size comes with extra effort, especially at the beginning. If you've been thinking about a large above-ground pool and you want something that feels stable and gives you room to actually swim, this one has been working well for me. If you've got questions about setup, the filter, or how it's holding up, drop them in the comments and I'll answer what I can. I will update specific information about the INTEX Ultra XTR Deluxe Rectangular Above-Ground Swimming Pool Set in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.